Welcome back to the MedTech Dialogue. Today, I have the privilege of speaking with Mr. Kaustav Banerjee, CEO of Alkem MedTech, a fully owned subsidiary of Alkem Laboratories, one of the India's most trusted pharmaceutical companies. With the decades of experience in MedTech space, now Kaustav is spearheading the Alkem MedTech vision to the next stage. Welcome to the MedTech Dialogue.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's our pleasure. So, Alkem Laboratory has been one of the leading trusted pharmaceutical companies in India. So, what was the vision of incepting Alkem MedTech?
Okay, so if I take a step back, Alkem has 52 years of legacy, and over the years it has created trust among patients. If you look at the pharmaceutical business, it addresses one part of the business, whereas Alkem wanted to be present on the care continuum. When you say care continuum, you're looking at from diagnostics to complete cure. So medical device plays an important role which cannot be solved by pharmaceuticals. So that's what excited Alkem to get into the medtech space.
Okay, and so with your experience mainly into bringing bigger companies to India, I have seen your profile and your work with giants like Zimmer, then Sanjud. So, how are you contributing in developing the Alkem MedTech portfolio?
Yeah, so in this particular situation, it's actually completely different. Where we are, if you look at Alkem MedTech, although it's part of a very large organization, which is a listed pharma company, we are still a startup within that large corporation. And our aim is not only to be in the medical device space, but we want to be doing everything indigenously. So making in India is an important thing, which global companies have not been doing as much in India. And what Alkem MedTech envisages is basically starting from design, owning the IP, and eventually manufacturing and commercializing in India as well as for the global market. That's a very big difference with whatever I have done with the global companies in India, Southeast Asia, or Asia Pacific, for that matter.
Okay, so in terms of quality, we always say that Indian medical device industry lacks quality. So, how do you see Alkem MedTech, or maybe for any Indian company, how they should overcome this barrier, which we say in terms of quality, because we are good at innovating and making products at lower cost, but how can we ensure that our quality matches with the global standards?
Now, first of all, I would say there is no data to suggest our products are really not adequate in quality. If you see India's emergence in medtech space, until recently we were into the consumable space and the low risk devices, and the quality there has been fairly good, and it has been sold globally.
Okay.
It is only recently we are seeing the medical device companies are getting into high risk devices, precision medical devices. They're also, India has made significant progress. The Indian entire manufacturing ecosystem has made significant progress. We are following the global standards, and even the regulators are harmonizing the standards. And our products are now getting accepted. I mean, made in India products are getting accepted across the globe. That itself proves that the perception is changing.
Yeah.
So to summarize, we have been really working towards ensuring our products are with global standards. So what we are fighting is basically a perception battle.
Okay. So with your kind of experience which you have seen how Indian medical device regulation has evolved over a period of time. When before 2017 we didn't have any medical device regulations, and now from 1st January 2018 we implemented MDR 2017 in India. How do you see it has changed the way Indian manufacturers are now going to manufacture their products?
Okay, first of all, let us understand the evolution of our MedTech regulation. If I recollect, it started in 2005 with only a handful of devices covered under regulation. Post, some incident, and suddenly a notification came listing 10 devices as regulated. From then to 2017, I would say 2017 is basically a pivotal moment for Indian regulations. Number one, that the entire spectrum of medical devices is covered under that. Second, these regulations are reasonably harmonized with the global standards, the global regulations. And because of that, it actually enhanced our competitiveness and acceptance in markets outside India.
Yeah. And as you rightly mentioned, definitely before 2017, we had handful of devices which were regulated. But unfortunately, since we didn't had a medical device regulation, so they were regulated as a drug product only. So we were actually following the drug regulations. Thanks to Indian government, CDSCO for bringing these regulations which were, and in 2017, if I remember, there were 24 medical devices, and now we are in 2025. India CDSU has regulated all kind of medical devices and IVD products. So hats off to CDSU and Indian Ministry of
It's a
Health.
humongous task they have undertaken actually.
Yes, yes. So that is something which is going on very fast. Now, in recent years, we are witnessing a lot of AI-based medical devices or software-enabled medical devices are coming. That's where there is a synergy between a lot of engineers, medical fraternity, and a lot of new startup companies. They are eyeing this area. So, how do you see India evolving in this space?
That's a very, very interesting question. Actually, AI has actually added one more layer into the regulatory framework. Erstwhile, we were only focusing on the hardwares, the devices. Now, over the years, what we have seen, every medical device company or most of the devices started their journey from analog to digital, which means you will see more the greater usage of data, greater usage of softwares, greater usage of AI. Of late, only I think we saw software become medical device. That was one definitional change that happened within the regulatory framework. It is not only India, actually globally everybody is learning.
Yeah.
Because AI is evolving so fast and so quickly. It is an important area where we also from the industry who are in this developing these products, we need to engage with the regulators little ahead of time, so that since the framework is in the process of making, it will actually provide nuanced understanding to the regulators. Plus, in a situation of AI, there are two elements. One is safety, and the second is privacy, because data privacy also becomes important.
Yeah.
When data is exchanged between the device and the patient and the entire
yes.
ecosystem. So from that standpoint, I feel that AI is adding to, while it is important to have, but it's also adding to a layer of complexity. And it's a learning process. We all are learning, including the regulators across the globe. And I'm sure eventually we will have a far more robust regulatory framework to cover all AI enabled devices.
Yeah, so that's a great insight, and I really appreciate your idea of being ahead, and maybe industry can collaborate with the regulators. They can share their ideas, viewpoint, because medical device is something where each products behave differently, and each products is having different standards. Similarly, the AI products also have a different standard which needs to be followed. One other thing which as a regulatory service provider, I have observed, there are few countries like US and Europe, they have already come up with regulations on AI, and maybe we can also refer those regulations. We can take some of the insights from their regulations, and we can try to adopt in India as well.
No, absolutely. See, there has been always regulatory framework has not been developed in isolation. If you
Yeah.
look at even when the Indian medical device regulations were getting framed, a lot of workshops were carried out with the Indian CDSCO and foreign regulators coming in and helping us
Yeah.
to frame. So it will never be developed in isolation. We have a lot to learn. But in case of AI, one of the additional challenges everybody is learning in this case because it is more of a recent phenomena and it is evolving very quickly. And if you look at, there are three elements to it. One is when you are building an AI based product, unlike any other hardware, it is not a one-time regulatory thing that you do, but you need to have a more repetitive validation
Yes. Yes.
on the product. Second is your algorithm need to be, I would say, transparent. Algorithm should be explainable and also should be clinically validated. And this clinical validation, every time there is a change, the way the algorithms are changing, there has to be new validation to be carried out. So it's a complex problem that we have at hand, but AI does offer a lot of opportunity. Having said that, we need to be balancing the clinical needs and clinical validation with the faster go to market.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as a startup companies, we also look towards Indian epidemiological scenario where we are completely different from global epidemiological scenarios. So for us, preventive medicine becomes far more important than any other countries.
Preventive and predictive.
Yeah, preventive and predictive, absolutely. So Kaustav, we are seeing recently we are seeing a lot of growth in manufacturing sectors in medtech space in India. So how what would be your guidance to these manufacturers that they should not only manufacture products for India, but it should be product which is manufactured for globe?
Sure. See, first of all, let's take a step back and understand the Indian manufacturing ecosystem, the way it is evolving. Only recently we have seen a lot of interest in manufacturing in India, and that is primarily driven by multiple factors. One, on the demand side, we have an aging population. We have a large population that is seeking health. And number three, there is improving affordability. Typically, like programs like the Ayushman Bharat, it's actually helping create the demand in the domestic market. On top of it, the Indian regulators has done a very good job with gradually harmonizing the Indian regulations with the global regulations. And number three, there is a lot of support coming from the government, fundamentally from a standpoint of the infrastructure, the MedTech park that has come up in the country. Similarly, if you look at the way the ease of doing business is shaping up,
Yeah.
and a lot of easing has happened on the regulatory front. A lot of relaxation on the regulations that has come up over the years. Third most important area, Indian startups' access to capital has become far more easier than before.
Okay.
Today, in India, capital is available at a far cheaper cost, and I would say it is the lowest. If you look at the history today, so it's a very good environment for us to get into manufacturing. So to your point, how do we make it for India, for the globe? That's the objective.
Yeah.
The purpose of global players or the large Indian players coming into MedTech is to build an ecosystem where we can manufacture in India for the globe.
Yeah.
And couple of things that is a very good lead indicators toward that. You see the Indian large conglomerates have got into medical material. We are also seeing a lot of MSME network that is developing for the sub-assemblies or the semi-finished products that can come for the final finishing to be carried out within because MedTech manufacturing is more about an ecosystem. Not everything is done under one roof. So we are seeing that MSME network gradually developing. Fundamentally, for getting global, I feel adhering to global standards, you know, actually working at the design stage and focusing on how to make the device safe and how to keep in mind that this device has to go global rather than trying to do a retrofit later. If the manufacturing entity takes that step, I think that would help us eventually to scale up and get to global markets, because different markets have different regulatory pathway, and really deciding ahead of time, even at the prototype stage, may help you to navigate that path.
Yeah. Yeah. So as you rightly mentioned, the ideation, the strategy, and the planning should be at the beginning itself, because and we at Clini Experts, we are working. We have developed our own global regulatory strategy portfolio there, and we identified that if the manufacturers are planning to set up a facility to meet the standards of India or US or Europe, they can do at the start only, and that will not, it's not something which will cost them very high. But at the same time, if they follow ISO 13485 at the beginning and they plan to parallelly go and do C certification, that actually opens a market, a huge market for them. Maybe I would say almost 25 to 30 markets. In fact, entire Southeast Asian market gets opened, by simply strategizing the thing at the initial stage.
Absolutely. See, MD-SAP can also be another good opportunity in that space.
Absolutely.
If you are going to markets which is not globally harmonized.
Globally, yeah, absolutely. So, Kaustav, currently at Alkem MedTech, what are the product portfolios you're planning, or you have already planned? What are the products already Alkem MedTech has launched, and in future, what are the product portfolio you are looking into?
Okay. So first of all, our the first venture that we got into is on the orthopedic side, on the large joints. I would say load-bearing large joints implantables, and this is something we feel that we can really scale up quickly. So knee and hip is something that we launch first. That is completely made in India. We have also got into a technology transfer with an US company, and having the rights for those brands in perpetuity for Indian marketplace. And we will be launching those products soon.
Great.
Sometime in next couple of quarters. And apart from the orthopedic large joints, we are also looking at developing products with our own IP, which is across the care continuum in a arthroplasty procedure.
Oh, great.
So there are multiple devices that are required to carry out the procedure.
Okay.
And we are developing those products as well, which in a way will help us improve our ability or increase our ability to serve a patient who will be undergoing an arthroplasty procedure. Since my mandate is to build a medical device portfolio, we are also contemplating some more technology space. For that, we are working with academic institutions like the IIT Kanpur and IIT Mumbai. We have also reached out to other academic institutions in the country where innovative products are available, and we will look at commercializing them. But at this point in time, this is what I can share with you.
No, it's really good to know that Alkem MedTech is collaborating with academic institutes. That's where it is going to be a great synergy, I believe, because definitely academic institutes, they need a good guidance starting from their product.
And most importantly, a strategic partner.
Strategic partner. So yeah, that's a
they have a lot of talent. They're doing a lot of innovative work. If you look at these academic institutions, what they need is a bit of strategic insight and how to really take them commercial, make them commercial, and also any kind of support for in terms of capital.
And that's really great. Kaustav, we have observed at Clini Expert, and we have seen companies losing momentum because they did not plan the compliance and regulation at the beginning of their journey. So, what would be your advice for those
Yeah,
companies?
I think that's a good observation. But the fact is, things are changing quickly because what we are also kind of advising the startups is that thinking of regulatory compliances ahead of time, even at the stage of prototyping the device, depending on or the vision to which market they want to scale it up. And if you have meet those regulatory standards ahead of time during the prototype stage, or even when you are preparing the design history, it would actually enable faster scale up. So there is a way of thinking that okay, following regulations may slow me down, but actually it's more like I'll give an analogy here. Think of a brake in a car. One thought process is you have a brake in a car because it stops you, right? But that's not the purpose of the brake. The purpose of the brake is to allow you to drive fast. Think
Absolutely.
of a car which is not having the brake. Will you be able to drive fast? You
No,
can't.
not
So you
at
can't
all.
scale up. So put that into the regulations. So when you have a mindset of fulfilling these obligations during the prototype stage and ahead of time, and this another important element of not only about regulatory compliance but also engaging with clinicians and end users during the prototype stage. It makes it extremely important. That's how global medical device companies have grown. And if
Yes.
you see that experience and then apply it on the Indian context, I feel that this mindset shift will be extremely helpful to make
Yeah.
Indian startups become unicorn.
Yeah. Thank you for this insight. As Kaustubh rightly mentioned, that the regulatory compliance strategy should be seen as a support system rather than brake system. And uh, we should, as a startup company, we should plan our regulatory compliance strategy at the inception stage only. And as Kaustubh rightly pointed out, that meeting clinicians and the end users will help you in designing a proper device because the most of the insights regarding the designing parts come from these clinicians. So, Kaustubh, there are a lot of companies like they obtain manufacturing license from CDSU. A lot of startups, that they will start at very small facilities, and suddenly once the demands increases in the market, or suppose if they want to venture into global market, their batch sizes increases, their demands increases. So, how do you think these companies should keep a pace with these demands, and how can they still uh, you know uh, make their manufacturing facility compliant to the regulations?
Sure. So, first of all, let's understand and learn a bit from the way the global companies have grown themselves. On one side is creating demand. The demand is more of a commercial game, right?
Yeah.
Plus the market or the coverage that you provide. But the demand will only grow by two things. One, when you have trust. Trust means trust with the key stakeholders, and in this process there are two key stakeholders. One is the patient, and the second is the physician. So that trust will come from your clinical investments. And the more and more you demonstrate that the product is safe, the product is effective, and there is adequate data to support that, that will build the trust. And when that trust is built, you get the ability of scaling up your business. Then comes the question of how do you prepare to meet those demands. For that, I think that is a relatively easier part to solve in the business, because once you have significant demand, because your product is already trusted in the marketplace, then you need to focus on ensuring there is continuity of your quality system without any fail. You keep producing the same product with a and getting the same kind of efficiency, or rather keep improving your efficiency without compromising, I mean, I would say in a way, getting to a point of zero defect, even when you are scaling up from 100 to 1000 to 10,000. Plus, in today's world, it is not only manufacturing on your own, you can rather explore the opportunity of
Contract.
I would say leveraging the MSME network
MSME
that is available in the country.
Yeah.
Because this MSME network will actually help you, create that capacity, or because these MSMEs are specialized in a particular work. And if you, build those network, those strategic partnership, it will help you scale up your manufacturing capability much faster. For example, suppose you are in a orthopedic large joint manufacturing. Now the orthopedic large joint manufacturing, what you are doing as a company is basically the polishing of the device, the machining of the device, the polishing of the device, then packaging and sterilization. When you get the casting component, now you don't do the casting yourself, you get it from somebody else, or you don't do the forging yourself, you get it from somebody else. They are MSMEs. So if you build a strong network of MSMEs, then it is easier for you to scale up your manufacturing, provided we have built the trust on the demand side, and surgeons are willing to prescribe your product, because end of the day, it's all about patient outcome.
Absolutely. Manufacturing your product, and you're starting your manufacturing journey. So that's where one of the important step is clinical investigation. So that's where you need to conduct pilot clinical investigation and pivotal studies to see how your device is performing. And this journey does not stop there. Once you have your product in the market, as a company, you also need to perform post-marketing surveillance studies. That's where you keep on improving your devices, because when you do pilot and pivotal studies, you are doing the studies on a limited number of patients. The moment your product is going into the market, you are actually going to cater a huge segment of patient population. That's where you will learn more about your product performance. That's where you will identify more SADs or ADs. So, Kaustav, in recent time, have you witnessed or came across some technology or product which has impressed you?
Actually, there are many, and it's very, very difficult to kind of, I would say, finding one or two. But even then, I'll try to, give it a shot. One of the technology that I have kind of seen more in the prototype stage is all about connected health.
Okay.
How a patient can be managed in the entire ecosystem digitally, rather than the patient management stops at the time the patient is released from the hospital, but also how to really get insights and data even after the patient is leaving the hospital till the time the patient recovers.
It's like a remote monitoring.
Not only remote monitoring, it is actually a whole host of things.
Whole host of.
It's a complete connected health.
Okay.
From the starting point of the patient's
So from inpatient
journey
to outpatient.
Yeah. So I would say, let's put it this way: from onset of pain to back in action.
Okay. Okay.
So once and somebody is being taken care across the care continuum, and after the treatment, the patient getting relieved from the hospital and getting managed and that giving digital insights to the physician. In this process, you get also alerts, early alerts of any kind of risk that you see, and patients also become part of the care management. That's the most important part. Second thing is another area where there is significant development is happening, and very, very rapidly. That's on the robotic space. Yeah. Mainly, the surgical robotic space. And if you look at the speed at which it is improving or evolving, it's mind-blowing. I feel that is eventually going to be the standard of care in the healthcare space.
Yeah, I was witnessing one of the article some time back where one of the surgeon he was sitting in Jaipur, and the surgery was taking place in Bhopal. So this is how the technology is going to change the future
So that's
of healthcare.
actually a combination of robotic and connected health.
Connect, yes, robotic and connected, absolutely. So, Kaustav, if you could, suggest one policy reform or regulatory policy reform which can fast track the medtech growth in India, what it would be?
Okay, actually, first of all, India has made significant, progress in the regulatory framework, and MDR 2017 is something which has created that pivotal moment for the Indian medtech regulations. Now, if you ask me one thing that we need to further build upon it, that would be to address and create a separate framework for managing smart and AI-enabled devices, because this is something which cannot be clubbed along with a conventional device.
Absolutely.
So if you put a layered approach towards managing them, because on a hardware which is not smart, you can still have the conventional way of looking at the regulatory framework which already exists today. Now, when it comes to the faster, evolving field of AI, plus there is added complexity of data security, we need a separate way of looking at that regulatory framework, and that is something I feel will help scale up the Indian medtech industry.
Yeah, because that's where we have also witnessed that companies are struggling because there is no clear regulations and guidelines for AI-enabled devices. So
but I'm sure it will evolve.
It will evolve.
With time, it will
Government
evolve.
CDSO is already working on these regulations. So very soon you will see a separate regulation for AI and software-enabled medical devices. So, Kaustav, how do you see medtech space is growing in India, and how do you see India growing by 2035 in this sector?
Okay, so I'll again bring up an analogy here, and I think we will be more or less following the pharma track in the Indian medtech space, but it will be much faster than pharma in the days to come. If you see from 1984, when the generic pharma was accepted in the US, within a very short period of time, India became the pharmacy of the world. Now today, the way medtech is evolving and has evolved, and the kind of interest that we are seeing among large strategic getting into the medical device space, who are in the past not into medical devices, that is a very, very strong signal to say that India will stand shoulder to shoulder with the global device companies by 2035. And this will mean two things. Not only we will make products which will be for the home market, but also for the globe. With the large Indian conglomerates getting into medical material, with the MSME network developing in the country, with the infrastructure push and harmonization with the global standards, India is very well poised, and particularly when the medical device really becomes medtech, that means a lot of technology comes into it, which is either AI or data, India will have an edge over anybody else in the world. So I see that 2035, India will be a major global player in the medtech space, and not just as a consumer, but also as a company or a nation with ability to design, develop, test, validate, and commercialize across the globe.
That's great. So this brings one of the very interesting questions, which I have seen India growing. Do you think that we will be able to match the skill, labor, and workforce requirement also if we eyeing that kind of growth by 2035?
So we have the skills.
Yeah.
We have the skills, but whatever is the gap, that eventually industry will take steps to fulfill those gaps. If you see the kind of work already happening in the marketplace, we have and if you look at many of the people who are working in the West and working for the large global device companies, they are of Indian origin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So now with the opportunity available in India,
Yeah.
and these set of skill sets, either they come trained or industry will work towards getting them trained after they come into the company.
We really hope that we match the 2035 target and also 2047 target of being India as a developed country. So, Kaustav, what three simple advice you would like to give to startup companies who wants to venture into global market?
Okay, good question. So number one advice for any startup is that whenever you are designing the product at an early stage, keep patient at the center of it and ensure safety and the regulatory framework is known while design at the design stage, so that you have less of a hurdle once you start launching the product or once you start defining uh, the I would say regulatory pathway in different markets. Number two, engage with users early. When I say users, I mean the operators. If it is a implantable device in cardiology, the cardiologist will be an operator. Maybe if it is a cardiac surgery product, the cardiac surgeon will be an operator. If it's an orthopedic product, or orthopedic surgeon will be an operator. So engage with them ahead of time for the specific domain that you are trying to develop the product, so that you can consider those feedback before launching the product in the marketplace. Number three, for any startup, I would say even before marketing, because medical device goes on trust, invest on clinical data. And if you do these three things right, then it will be easier for you to get acceptance in the marketplace.
Yeah. So thank you for these three wonderful advices, and to all the startup companies, please follow the Kaustav strategic thought process if you want to venture into global market. And thank you so much, Kaustav, for coming here and sharing your vision, ideas, and strategic thought process for various budding startup companies and also for various entrepreneurs who want to venture into medtech space. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much for the opportunity.
It's our pleasure. Hi friends, I'm Dr. Ashwini Kumar, CEO and founder of Clini Experts Group of Companies. When I say Clini Expert Group of Companies, we have two companies. One is Clini Expert Services, where we provide regulatory consultancy services, and we have another arm called Clini Expert Research Services, where we are providing clinical development supports to various pharmaceuticals, healthcare, and medtech companies. This is the only company in India who brings these two arms together, the regulatory as well as clinical development. And you know what these two arms does for these companies? These two arms combined services help you navigate both regulatory and your clinical development journey in a very efficient and faster manner, so that you can take your product to the market at faster pace. So keep following us and please do contact us if you have a product you want to take it to the market.